Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance medical copywriter, and I am going to tell you a quick little story today about how I fired my boss and how I hired myself. Well, first things first though, I'm actually in Bali right now in my apartment, and so you may hear a little street noise from the mopeds and stuff outside. It can get a little hectic. Um, but yeah, so back to how I fired my boss and hired myself. I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. I thought it was for risk takers and adrenaline junkies. So my story kind of happened a little strangely, I guess. It has two parts. The first part is when I decided I wanted to be my own boss, and then the second part was when I decided I wanted to work in location independent work, so I could work from anywhere and I could travel. So the first part, I was actually working in research on a grant, and I saw pretty quickly that not only was my hard work not really going to turn into any benefit for me, but I actually had coworkers tell me to slow down and to not work so hard. And I really like hard work, but I really like to be able to see the return on my hard work. And I was going to have to go back to school and get a master's or a PhD to kind of climb up the ladder. And it just didn't seem to make sense to me that I had to do all of that and go into mountains of debt when I was clearly like working hard, putting in the effort. So it just was super frustrating to me. And actually what happened was I had been thinking about how I wanted to be my own boss. I wasn't quite sure what that would look like or what I would do. I had helped people with a bunch of different events. That seemed like an easy thing to start doing because it's a lot of logistics and I know I could work hard, but I was still so scared to do it. And actually my dog of 6 years got hit by a car and was killed, and it was the most devastating thing that had ever happened to me at that point in my life. And I basically had this whole epiphany that life was too short and I couldn't keep going the way I was going. And I actually walked into my boss's office the next day in my pajamas and quit my job. And I still can't believe I did that. He was shocked because I was, a very professional person. And so I just walked on in my pajamas. I was like, I quit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. I had a little bit in savings at the time. And I decided to be an event planner. And I started hustling and, put my name out there, got in with a caterer and got these little gigs, and I did that for a few years and it got really good. But there were two things that really didn't work for me as an event planner. One, it just wasn't what I was called to do. It was something that just didn't feel really in alignment with what was important to me. And then also I had a really hard time with how awful clients treated me. In fact, if you ever hire an event planner, please be nice to them. Okay? So it was just brutal work and the way that people treated me, and I just couldn't handle it. So I ended up crawling my way back into the 9 to 5, which was so demoralizing. And I basically had a job doing data entry. I even picked up shifts as a server. And during this time, I was trying to figure out what could I do work-wise that was location independent, because event planning, you're very much stuck in one place. You can't just pick up and leave when you want to move. And that really freaked me out, actually, because I wanted to move, but I had to wait an entire year to be able to move. Made me a little obsessed with location independent work. So I started looking into it, and as I was doing that, I was working as, data entry, making I think $12 an hour, way less than what I was making as a research associate. Picking up shifts. I ended up going into credit card debt and $5,000. I emptied out my Roth 401k. I was so disappointed in myself because it wasn't like student loans or something. It was all debt. That's a direct, result of me living outside my means. So I was, rock bottom, super depressed. And I happened to have this conversation with this guy, and he told me about copywriting, and I had enjoyed writing. And he was telling me about it and how it was a good location independent job and how he had done it, and that in his first year he had made $100,000. And I was like, whoa, I thought all writers were poor and crazy and dealing with writer's block and at home pulling out their hair and getting wasted all day and being nuts. And so I was like, you can be a writer and not have to write novels. And I know that seems probably pretty dumb to some of you, but to me, it was the first time I'd ever heard that was a possibility. So I started looking into copywriting while I was doing these jobs, and slowly, little by little, I started picking up gigs on job boards and with content mills, and they paid me absolute pennies. I was making $700 a month writing for content mills, and they were paying me 4 cents a word, which is just crazy to me that I even worked for that little. And so I just started building up my writing portfolio. And then I decided that, you know what? I knew from being an event planner that the most important thing I could do for myself is to actually like take the time and really invest in my skills and my skill set. And I was so tired between the two jobs I was doing that I knew I had to take a step back. So I actually didn't even have any like savings at this point, but I was like starting to see how I could make it work. I knew I was going to cold email to get new clients. I knew I needed to build a website, but I didn't have the time to build a website. And so it just kind of became this like very organic process where I was like, okay, I gotta do it, but I need the time and the energy to do it, but I'm tired, and I need to be able to invest in myself. So I quit my job when I made my first $1,000 in 1 month from writing. And it was the scariest day of my life. I was with my boyfriend at the time, and so I kind of knew that like hopefully he would like help me out if things didn't go well, like maybe he wasn't gonna let me starve, but not really. Like I didn't want to rely on him. I didn't want him to have to like carry that burden. So then I slowly like built up a client base. I built a website. I started reaching out in cold emails and getting the clients that I really wanted to write for, and wasn't just at the mercy of job boards. And then slowly over time, I've built up this amazing client base. I write in an area I'm super passionate about, and I am continuously investing in my skills and my skill set. And that is one of my favorite things about being an entrepreneur, because anytime you buy a course or you learn something, it's an investment in you and your business and what you're going to become. And it's not an investment in some big company who doesn't give a shit about you, and they're not gonna just like unceremoniously like let you go one day, because you are investing in yourself. And so yeah, that was my journey. It was scary. It was tough. It still is. Like I have days, where I'm like, what am I doing? But I would say that overall, it has been the best decision I have ever made for myself, because I get to see the direct results of my hard work, and it all comes back to me. So yeah, I hope that if you are on the edge, thinking about taking that leap of faith, thinking about being your own boss, I hope you find the tools that you need, because I really believe we have access to so many resources, more so than ever before. So I hope you keep digging, and I hope you find exactly what you need to be able to take that leap too, because it feels fantastic when you look back 5 years later and you see the life you built for yourself. So thanks for listening. If you liked that and you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe below, and let me know in the comments what you want to hear more about. And I will for sure be making videos every week, so be sure to check back. And if you want to know more about copywriting specifically, you can also check the link below and in the first comment as well. So thanks for stopping by. Again, I'm Sarah Turner, and I hope you have an awesome day.